I mean, this is becoming a humanitarian crisis, and I think we have got to end this ASAP.
On Saturday, November 1st, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program ran out of money. It's one of the most tangible impacts of the longest government shutdown in American history. That loss is being felt by nearly 42 million people, even as funding comes through.
I have a family with 4 children, 2 adults, and we're just trying to figure out how we're going to survive.
It's an issue sparking bipartisan outrage, with both parties pointing the finger at each other.
It's time for Chuck Schumer and the radical Democrat Congress to stop playing games with the people's lives and to pass a clean funding bill and to reopen government immediately.
This is a program that was under attack early by the president following the big, ugly bill.
And it's stretching nonprofits and food banks across the country. Here's Will Brandon with Paducah Cooperative Ministry.
We ended October helping over 500 households here in McCracken County. First 3 days of this month, we've already done close to over 100 households so far.
After multiple orders from federal judges, the Trump administration said it would dip into contingency funds to partially cover food benefits for November. As of November 6th, one of those judges is again ordering the administration to pay out the full amount, saying they, quote, did nothing to ensure that SNAP benefits would be delivered this week. Despite that, nearly 5 million people won't get any assistance because of changes to eligibility requirements. This week on the Crossroads Suncast, the roots of our current food assistance program, the fight to end the current crisis, and the future of SNAP. I'm Bryce Patterson.
Let's be frank. You and I know that immediate relief of the unemployed is the immediate need of the hour.
In 1932, Franklin Delano Roosevelt campaigned on relief for Americans impacted by the Great Depression. But the first food stamp program doesn't go into effect for 7 more years. Starting in 1939, people living on relief can buy orange stamps, equal to what they would usually spend on food. But for every dollar they spend, they get 50 cents worth of blue stamps, which can be used to buy food the Department of Agriculture says is surplus. It's a program aimed at combating hunger and supporting farmers. At the time, significant increases in harvests drove down prices and bankrupted many farms. The program ends in 1943, but a new pilot program launches in 1961 under John F. Kennedy's administration. It offers food stamps without the additional focus on surplus foods. Lyndon B. Johnson makes the program permanent in 1964 as part of his push for what he called the Great Society.
You have the chance never before afforded to any people in any age. You can help build a society where the demands of morality and the needs of the spirit can be realized in the life of the nation.
1964's Food Stamp Act sets up the central dynamic of the SNAP program. The federal government provides the money, and states certify who can use SNAP, then issue the benefits. So here's the current scope of SNAP. About 1 in every 8 Americans receive federal food assistance to cover the cost of groceries in 2024. On average, those benefits pay out about $187 per participant per month. This October, nearly 4,000 households in McCracken County received SNAP benefits. In Graves County, more than 2,000 households. The need is especially high in southern Illinois, northwest Tennessee, and southeast Missouri. More than 28% of households in Alexander County, Illinois rely on SNAP. In Lake County, Tennessee, it's more than 30%. In Mississippi County, Missouri, it's more than 31%. According to the USDA, about 39% of SNAP recipients are children. In total, 2/3 of participants are people who are not expected to work. That's children, older adults, and people with disabilities. Many people use SNAP when they're in between jobs. But SNAP also helps many people who are working low-income jobs that put them below the federal poverty level. Think fast food and retail jobs, with low pay and inconsistent work hours. Will Brandon says they've seen a spike in need amid the benefits freeze.
We're also just seeing people, federal workers who are furloughed or full-time workers that are feeling the pinch in the economy. People that are working full-time, they do have jobs, sometimes multiple, but they still need help with their groceries.
The current SNAP crisis also has knock-on effects beyond just food. Here's Lindsay Sparks with Family Service Society.
I know SNAP benefits do not only affect the food in the household. It's going to affect if they can pay rent, if they can, buy the clothes that kids need to go to school in so they're not bullied by other kids. It affects their whole entire life.
A SNAP recipient in Graves County put it like this.
How many bills can you neglect paying to buy food and the rising cost of food anyway. Inflation has knocked that stuff up, and you just can't afford stuff anymore.
SNAP accounts for more than 70% of the Department of Agriculture's food assistance spending. It's a massive federal program, and that creates a political problem. Here's Kentucky Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman speaking on November 4th.
We stand ready to continue to try to stem this tide, but there's no nonprofit, there's no state government, there's no organization that can make up for the funding that would otherwise come from the federal government.
Illinois Senator Dick Durbin put it simply on the Senate floor.
The food banks cannot take care of this problem.
On November 4th, House Speaker Mike Johnson said, "It's not as simple as just paying out the benefits."
Here's the problem, it's very complex, is that it's administered through the states, and you have to recalculate all the allocations and how the checks go out. It's not, you can't just flip a switch and do that.
Let's talk politics. The government shut down on October 1st, when the previous federal budget expired. Republicans control both chambers of Congress, but they don't have the 60 votes needed to pass the spending bill in the Senate. Democrats have refused to vote for the budget because it allows Affordable Care Act tax credits to expire, massively driving up the cost of health insurance for millions of Americans. They're also pushing for a reversal on the cuts to Medicaid and government health agencies.
Some 50,000 of our fellow Americans, lower income and working class people, will die unnecessarily every year because of that reality.
Both sides are deadlocked, with Republicans saying the bill isn't partisan, and they won't negotiate on health care until a budget has passed. Here's Speaker Johnson.
I don't have anything that I can take off of that document to make it more palatable for them.
So here's the funding issue. On Halloween, after a coalition of states sued, a federal judge blocked the Trump administration from cutting off SNAP funding, ordering federal leaders to first spend an emergency fund. That's where we get partial benefits for the month of November. That was about 65% of total benefits. But as of late afternoon on November 6th, Judge John McConnell of Rhode Island is ordering the Trump administration to pay out full benefits for states to distribute by Friday, saying, quote, "People have gone without for too long. Not making payments to them for even another day is simply unacceptable." One issue here, the government has never made partial payments of SNAP benefits before. Here's White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
We are digging into a contingency fund that is supposed to be for emergencies, catastrophes, for war. And the president does not want to have to tap into this fund in the future.
In the case of a partial payment, states would have to figure out how to distribute that money. In a response to the initial order to pay benefits on Halloween, the Trump administration wrote, quote, "It would require each state to recalculate the benefits owed based on the reduced funds available." USDA estimates that such a calculation, involving complex system changes and processes dictated by statute and regulation, would take weeks, if it can be done at all. Judge McConnell is ordering the Trump administration to dig into a separate source of USDA funding to cover SNAP benefits, even as the shutdown continues. The White House has already pulled from tariff revenue to keep WIC programs running. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear says the Trump administration's previous refusal to provide full benefits was unprecedented.
Let me be clear. The president has both the funding and the authority to fund SNAP during a shutdown. In fact, every other president in every other shutdown has done so. People going hungry in this instance is a choice that this president has made.
The timeline is an issue here. Families on SNAP have already gone days without benefits, and those benefits are generally staggered to pay out over the course of the month. In the meantime,
I signed an executive order directing $5 million to Feeding Kentucky food banks.
that money is being distributed to food banks and community programs across the Commonwealth. On November 5th, Beshear authorized the Kentucky National Guard to assist in staffing food banks as needed. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee has also directed $5 million to food banks, pulling from savings accrued in the state's Medicaid program. Missouri redirected $15.6 million for food aid, and Governor Mike Kehoe launched a statewide food drive.
When challenges come our way, Missourians don't wait for someone else to step up. We take care of each other.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker sent $20 million worth of funding to state food banks. Several states are offering direct financial aid. That includes Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, which have a large number of federal workers impacted by the shutdown. It's not clear if those states will be reimbursed by the federal government. Major changes to federal food support began even before the government shutdown. In August, Tennessee submitted a waiver request to the USDA. If approved, that waiver would bar SNAP recipients in the state from using their benefits on candy, sodas, and other junk food. Missouri submitted a similar waiver this fall. A dozen other states already have varying levels of restrictions going into effect next year. Critics worry that SNAP recipients living in food deserts, areas that lack access to fresh food, could see their options cut back even further. The Big Beautiful Bill's expanded work requirements went into effect on November 1st. Veterans and the homeless are no longer exempt from work requirements. The bill also raises the age at which older adults are exempt, and tightens work requirements in counties with high unemployment. According to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, the increased red tape is likely to result in many people losing their SNAP benefits, without driving more participation in the workforce. Editing support on this episode by Adam Stump. Reporting by Ariana Allen, Creighton Charlton Perrin, Mason Watkins, and me. For more politics, check out our episode on the realignment of America's political parties. And follow the show wherever you get your podcasts.